everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of chatting with none other than Amos Heller. Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Many of you have probably going, hey, I think I've seen that guy somewhere. If you've happened to have been recently to a Taylor Swift concert, most likely you've seen him there. But if you also check out the music scene in Nashville, I'm sure you might have seen him there as well. So all kinds of interesting stuff to talk about, Amos. As always, we like to go to the past. Started in music and particularly on bass.
Oh, man. I had the really good fortune of going to a public school system in Charlottesville, Virginia that had a really well-funded and passionately led music program. So when I came to the school system, you could pick and orchestra or chorus, and there was, plenty of spots, plenty of motivated teachers. They were all really well regarded. I just thought that I wanted to try strings. I'd done vocal stuff when I was younger. I was kind of bored with it. The playing an instrument seemed really exciting. And there are kind of two versions of how I ended up playing bass. The more altruistic one is that we asked the orchestra, what are you short on? What players do you need? And then they said bass. But also a factor in the decision-making process was that there's such a great program in Charlottesville that a lot of the kids, so this is sixth grade, a lot of them have already been playing for like 4 years. They get instruments into your hands right away. There's lots of teachers. There's very accomplished high school students that are teaching the younger kids. There's strings programs at the primary school, middle school, high school. So I kind of thought in my vanity, I'm going to be last chair out of whatever section I pick, and last chair out of 4 basses looks better than last chair out of 22 violins. Mm-hmm. So with a bit of a nod to my self-consciousness, I picked bass. And man, anytime I talk about how I get started, I need to lay some respect on the name of Dan Lind, who was the Walker Upper Elementary strings teacher. And as a completely new musician, he actually would sort of take me aside from the rest of the class because I couldn't read music. I didn't have any left hand, right hand technique, nothing. So he would actually give me a maybe like 10-minute private lesson in like a little side room. Says, here's this, here's your G major scale. It goes like that. Big smile on his face, clap on the shoulder, and I'll see you at the end of class. So that's how we did it for about the first semester of sixth grade. And then after winter break, I had like a little recital. I think I played like a scale and half of a song. And he sort of like debuted me as a bass player, and then I joined the orchestra. And I think if I just sort of sat there struggling and trying to keep up, I don't know how much I would have loved being a musician or being a bass player. So his enthusiasm, his passion, his time, his focus planted such a seed. So that was how I started on classical, which I played through my freshman year of college. So it became something that was really a sort of central thing for me. And then riding around in my brother's car when I was about 12 years old, I discovered thrash metal, like listening to Metallica and Megadeth and stuff like that. And I can't remember. I think it was actually my 9th grade girlfriend got me do you know the tape Cliff 'Em All? Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know, so Cliff Burton was Metallica's original bass player and just a wild innovator, blazing stage presence, constantly headbanging, taking solos on bass. So there was a VHS tape, this is how old I am, of like just shots of Cliff from Metallica, like the Live on the Green, some of their early tours opening for Ozzy Osbourne. It was just shots of Cliff Burton. And I was just like, I want to do that. I want to do what that guy's doing. So I got an electric bass when I turned 13 and immediately started learning how to play Kill 'Em All.
Nice. And so you played metal in your high school years?
Yes. Yeah. I played in kind of a blues band that played exactly like 2 parties when I was in middle school. But man, when it really, I feel like, started for me, when I identified like playing bass and being a musician as a thing that I wanted to do, there was a thrash band at my high school that I got to be in with like a bunch of older guys. And I was like, this is so cool. They were all older and they had long hair and they wore T-shirts with really troubling imagery on it. And once again, I was like, I want to do this. This is me all over the place. So that was really like the beginning of like what I would consider like, the journey that's led me to here and will sort of continue to lead me on through the future, was just going from playing classical, which is very structured and very prim and proper and you're wearing a bow tie. And then, so I would do that during the school day. And then at night I would go practice in a deafening storage container, basically with my metal band playing really fast, high intensity stuff. So I had those two things balancing me sort of right from the start.
Nice, nice. And then did you pursue formal studies or after the freshman year in college and all?
Man, I didn't. I definitely have moments where I kind of wish that I did, as far as like formal theory and a technique repertoire and stuff like that. But if I'm honest, is once I decided that, like, I think I kind of hit a point after my freshman year of college where, because classical music, especially at that level, I went to Miami University just outside of Cincinnati, amazing orchestra, it's big workload, really, really challenging pieces. And I wasn't a music major. It was really something I did to sort of continue my passion for playing classical, and just sort of hit a decision point where if I'm going to decide that this is my focus, or I've got to kind of step away from it and devote more time to like playing in a band, which of the two was really where my heart was leading me at that time. So I didn't study music in college. I don't have a music degree. Meant my approach to more formal education was almost always, I would reach a point of, I guess, stagnation, for lack of a better word, with my own playing. Like, I'm a little tired of my own licks and I'm looking for something fresh, something innovative. I feel like I've hit a plateau as far as my technique. And sometimes a hero can bust you out of that. You know, I ended up with the Bass Day 98 video from Victor Wooten, like a lot of us did. And that just messed me up forever. But then that was like, oh, that, I want to do that. Let me do this bass as a lead instrument, the chording, the tapping, the double thumping, all that kind of stuff. But I would usually take formal lessons for kind of a short period, like get a concept, something like even just like in middle school, getting a major scale in one position and using that to kind of improvise. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sort of chew on that until I've gotten everything I can out of it. And then 3 or 4 years later, take kind of a short span of lessons. And I can think of specific teachers that unlocked specific ideas or approaches or even techniques that I still use today. But consistent study wasn't much of a thing for me. It was get a concept, get it under my fingers, and get into the real world and apply it in a live setting.
Gotcha. Well, and when it comes to every musician's journey, I've never heard anybody that's done it the same way. So there's obviously not more than one road to lead to Rome. Now, how did you get, because I guess you decided that you did want to do music as a career. How did you proceed from there?
I have to say that the decision to move from Cincinnati, where I was living at the time, to Nashville was another really big kind of divergence or decision point in what would become my career as a musician. I think the rules are probably a little bit different now, but this is fully a back in my day part of the story. But going to where the work is happening had a massive effect on everything that would come after. I love Cincinnati. I played a lot of really fun gigs there. I was in kind of a comfortable orbit with my music, that I was playing in like a house band, kind of a dance band, Friday and Saturday night. Amazing repertoire, especially for a bassist. That was me discovering like Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Gap Band, like all that stuff, like really like 70s funk and soul, some Motown. Getting all that under my fingers. Another band where I was the youngest guy in it by like 10 years. So we have all these like seasoned players to learn from. And that was it was steady work and a steady paycheck. But if I wanted to take a tour with something more adventurous, it was difficult to sort of, I hit kind of a weird spot where I wanted to be able to sub that gig, the dance band gig. But I started doing it so often that the band leader was like, do we just need to get somebody else? So I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't step far enough away from it to lose my rent money. But the cycle of playing the same songs the same way every night started to sort of wear smooth, and I was looking for something a little bit more adventurous. And it was a friend and mentor of mine in Nashville, a guy named Rich Hordinsky, who offered me a really cool sort of songwriter gig tour, and I couldn't take it. I was like, man, I have this dance band and I can't sub it. I can't leave. And he kind of sighed. I remember him on the phone. He sighed. He goes, dude, you should just move to Nashville. Almost like exasperated. But that was that was kind of a light bulb moment. And I was like, at this point in my life, I'm in my late 20s. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I'm just dumb enough to think that I can just do this with my gumption and good luck. And so that sort of ended up spurring a decision to move to Nashville, which I did like around Halloween of 2005. That was probably the biggest thing. Like I'm here to do it seriously. I have enough seasoning to feel like I'm good at some things, but I'm here to learn. I'm here to see what gear I need. How do these folks function? I want to get on a tour bus. Here's where the tour buses are leaving from, not where they're just stopping to play gigs and then move on. Mm-hmm. So I came here to learn.
Nice. Well, and Nashville is of I think 3 musical cities. When you talk to people, you've got the New York scene, you've got Nashville in between, LA. And so a big part of that is, again, you're surrounded by a lot of really good players as well. And that makes you raise your bar and go, okay, if I'm going to swim in these waters with these guys, I've really got to do this. So,
oh man. Yeah. Just kind of getting your butt kicked, just being in an environment where this is happening, where you're walking into some bar, some band you've never heard of, and at every chair, someone is just an assassin. Like and it's good. And that can be, and sometimes was, a little disheartening. Just walk. It's like, I would just like to walk into a bar and see an average band doing okay. Like, nope, coolest tele solo you've ever seen. Perfect rockabilly slap up. Right. Great. It was almost exhausting because Nashville is such a tight concentration of talent. I have kind of a funny story about first moving down. Someone had hipped me to like this, go see this band. This bass player is one of the best in town. It's great. I was like, okay, let's go. It was kind of a small coffee shop gig. I was like, kick my butt. Let's see what it takes. And I'm watching him and it's good, but I'm like, man, this feels within my reach. I feel like I could hang with this guy. I like what he's doing, but like these are chops that I possess. Okay, cool. 2 days later, I went downtown to what we call Lower Broadway. There's all those, I don't know if you've been, but there's all those clubs down in Lower Broadway, call them honky tonks. Used to be, it was just country music. Now you can go and hear anything. So I'm feeling pretty good about my experience. And I walk in and a band I've never seen and one of the best bass players I've ever seen in town, whose name I didn't know. I was like, oh no, like it's so much worse than I thought. Like maybe this big name guy is good. Maybe I can do what he's doing. I just remember this guy playing it was the way he played a 2-feel, just bump, 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 like that real country thing that everybody kind of makes fun of. But man, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And this guy was doing it the right way, singing flawless harmonies, talking to the drummer while he's copying a fiddle lick. I was like, oh no, crap, I have so much work to do.
There you go. Well, and then how did you stand out in order to land the Taylor Swift gig?
Man, that is a good question. I think if I were gonna give someone advice getting started, man, it's so weird, and it feels like the tagline of like half of Disney movies, but it really is kind of be yourself. Like the stuff that you love to do, the influences that you have that make you unique as an artist, fly those flags, do it. Like I came up loving Cliff Burton and Billy Gould and Flea and like metal and stuff that has like a big stage presence. I was a headbanger. I had hair down to my shoulders, playing a 4-pound Ibanez bass, jumping off of speakers. Like that's where I come from. So part of me, even like in Nashville, I was like, I'm gonna do that. Like I'm gonna mold to the gig. I'm not gonna do it all the time. But I played with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of commitment. And when I did get hired to back like a singer, particularly because I wasn't joining a band, I was always a side player. I tried as much as I can to show up to every rehearsal like completely prepared. Just have everything ice cold as much as I can, help run the rehearsal if I need to. And then when we played live, like, man, I'm giving it. I'm giving you the business. I'm mouthing your words back to you. I'm committed on stage. I'm just trying to be the person that you would want to turn around and see behind you. Because like, if a singer's laying out a lot of money to do a showcase or get up on stage in front of their friends, family, label reps, they're nervous. Like I want to put my hands on their shoulder and be like, I got you. I've got you. And man, if I had to guess, it's just a combination of making sure you're just ice cold prepared and have some fun.
Gotcha. Well, and ultimately this last tour, the Eras tour,
Yeah.
I'd seen a little bit. It kind of gotten into the email stream of stuff because this was this was 149 shows, 5 continents, and they'd mentioned that you'd felt that it had changed you after
Oh, yeah.
this immense experience. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Sure, man. I mean, it is hard to encapsulate, and to me it is still so recent. The last show was less than 2 months ago as of this interview, and so it's still kind of settling in my mind, like what this was, what really happened. Man, probably the first thing that comes to mind is realizing that with this team, this band, all of our techs, the crew, all of that, to with them at all of our backs, just to realize what we are capable of, like the threshold of what I can say yes to, something that can be put in front of me and say, here's what we're doing. We're doing a show. It's over 3 hours. You're going to play over 40 songs. There's electric. I'm playing a active 5-string, a Hofner, key bass, fretless, like all of this stuff that your brain is going to be busy. Your body is going to be taxed. Your hands are going to be tired. Like, can you do this? Like, the bar is just set so high. And I think coming up against a show like that length, that complexity, and honestly, the prominence of it, the fact that it was the news that it was, that Taylor is the big deal that she is, the pressure that just being a part of that. And this is everybody. This is folks who shoot the pyro, folks who repair the costumes, the folks who make sure the shoes are in the right spot, the dancers, the people who string and tune the guitars. It's so much pressure on everybody that I know that I can not only survive something like that, but have fun, like find joy in it, have silly moments with the people that I'm on stage with, moments of intense focus, moments where I'm just like coiled around the song with every fiber of my being. And then the very next song, I might be playing whole notes on the neck pickup of a fretless, like being able to shift gears like that. It was such a tremendous challenge. And I think I definitely feel changed as a musician in ways that I might not even truly realize yet. I know stuff is different.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Well, and with that, of course, I'm sure most people are looking behind you and seeing gear. So it's probably a good time to mention, how are you getting your sound? What are you playing on?
Sure. For this tour, it's mostly Fender, which I think I might be surprised by, because it's a pop gig.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're playing stuff from so many different parts of the catalog, and some of it harkens back to kind of like classic country and country adjacent stuff. So my main two basses for the tour were a 60s P-bass reissue in Daphne Blue with a rosewood board with Seymour Duncan Antiquities in it. I absolutely love Seymour Duncan pickups. They're just amazing. So that gets D'Addario flats, and I absolutely love that bass. Like I used to kind of avoid basses with flats, and if you know, like just playing a P bass with flats all night, they're just magic. They're pre-mixed. The combination between like the construction of the bass, the Seymour Duncan pickups, and those strings, it was just great. Like I told my tech rather sternly, we're going to change these if one of them breaks, and no other time. So they got really laid in that thunky, thwacky thing. And then there was some heavier stuff where we've got like a bunch of distortion or drive or fuzz on them, and they go great.
Nice.
I had that. I don't have any of that stuff here, unfortunately. Then I have a Fender Jazz Ultra, the 5-string, just bone stock. The only thing I changed on it was the pick guard. That was for like more active stuff, heavier stuff in lower tunings. I played a couple of Hofners on a couple of songs, and a lot of the times I am shooting for something that is very close to the sound of the record. There might be moments where we decide deliberately, we're going to reimagine this, we're going to do a different version, we're going to hype it up, we're going to calm it down. But what we always start with is, let's get the tone from the record. You listen to something like, this sounds like a P bass, it sounds like a jazz, this sounds like a Hofner. So I played a couple of Hofners. I play that absolutely brilliant Mike Lull AHPJ4. I play that on one song, which is my signature bass with Mike Lull, which is a absolutely beautiful PJ that has Lindy Frailings in it. And then I have a custom shop Yamaha fretless 5-string that Pat Campolinato made for me out of the Yamaha custom shop many moons ago. It has a absolutely gorgeous, like ocean blue finish, and it's an actual regular, it's a BB. It's based on a BB, has Aguilar guts, and they don't make a fretless BB. So he did the Jocko thing, like pulled the frets out, filled it with putty, coated it in epoxy, the whole bit. And everything I play gets to Darios. They're either NYXL for the round wounds or chromes for the flats.
Very nice. Well, and Pat, I think I remember him fondly from his time at Yamaha, and a lot of the things, if you got anything unique, it's because he put his hands on it and did mods.
Dude, Pat's the best.
Yeah, they like to keep things kind of standardized, but he was willing to venture off of the path there. That's very nice. Now, another thing that comes up, you've got some products, I'll call them product reviews or demos.
Oh, sure.
And those are just beautifully done, and I encourage people, I'll include links so people can check some of them out. But, definitely you're a big fan of Dark Glass.
Oh, yeah.
And the gear that you're playing on. So what was your motivation to kind of do these demos and reviews?
Oh, man, that was a pandemic era pivot. To stay busy, to stay creative, to still feel, because touring was done. Nobody was touring, nobody was going out, and as a sort of lifelong sideman, I felt very much in limbo. And I remember this is very specific. I got to give it up to Yamaha and my buddy Scott Marceau, who's been my artist up there forever. So very kindly, Yamaha was like, we'll actually pay some of our artists a little bit of money if you just like write a little essay about music and just film something, like make a little piece. Mm-hmm. So I'll send you the link to that too. So I was like, okay, well, I have an old DSLR camera that I've hardly ever done anything with. In this exact room with very different stuff behind me, I was like, well, I don't know. Let's see if I can do this. And the first one took a really long time, and stuff like that often does. But I ended up feeling pretty good about what came out. And then I reached out to Josh Scott at JHS, and I know they had some stuff coming. I was like, I think I'm going to dip my toe into like some demo stuff. Do you have anything you can send me? He said, sure. So he sent me a bunch of pedals. I did another one for them, and like started to like snowball a little bit. The workflow started to tighten up, and then I got to give it up to my buddy Lauren Hill over at Dark Glass, who was like, we're into what you're doing, here's everything we make, go crazy.
Oh, wow.
And it was a tremendously supportive thing and a real lifeline for me creatively during the pandemic. And it deciding to do it and getting met with a lot of like success, a lot of support from the companies I work with. I've done them for Yamaha, Music Man, Spectre. I did one for Mike Lull, Origin Effects. Folks have been very, very kind to me, very supportive. But it drew me into all these other creative skills, including like I have to write songs now. And I was not like a big like lyrics and acoustic guitar songwriter. I dipped my toe into that too. Felt okay about it. Nothing really seemed to come of it. But writing little bass centric 1 minute riff rock songs, I'm like that, I'll take that. Where I can play like a completely irresponsible guy, but then arrange everything else around bass, which we never get to do. That drew me into like composition. I had to learn how to mix, master, shoot, edit, color correct, learn all these different software. And it was so important for me, I have to say, like psychologically, to still feel like I'm being creative. It's something I'm in control over. I'm not just waiting for word from somebody else to get hired and go here, and we're staying for this long, and here's when you learn these songs. It was really nice to just have some like initiative and just be in control of something that's completely mine, that's much less prominent than some of the other stuff that I've done. But I love doing it. And now that the tour is over, that's going to be my focus this year, is like getting the YouTube channel up and running again, going to NAMM and actually tomorrow to meet with some folks. And I have a pedal coming out with Dark Glass.
Oh,
that we're going to announce in a couple of days. So there's a little bit of a teaser. Actually, by the time this goes up, it'll probably be out. So it's the pedal that's coming out.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Well, and as we're talking about kind of near future and far future, what's in the works for you? What do you have planned?
Man, the Eras tour was such a profound thing, and it was so much time gone and traveling. I'm honestly I know this is kind of a boring answer, but I'm really enjoying just being home.
It's great.
I have, my wife has been home with our 3 kids for a lot of time. So I'm really just kind of enjoying, I don't want to say the mundanity, but the simple sort of elegant pleasures of just driving them to school, being there to help them with their homework, helping my sons build Star Destroyers, suplexing my daughter into the bed. Like, it's really fun stuff. Professionally, once again, I'm looking forward to get the YouTube channel going. I've already got like a small stack of products just off camera over here that I'm really excited to get into. Got a pedal coming out with Dark Glass, and I'm looking into doing like some clinic. I did a clinic with Mike Lull at the end of last year and kind of got my feet wet doing that. And that's another fun thing I'm thinking about kind of dipping my foot into a little bit more formally. So we'll see what happens at NAMM, I guess.
Very cool, very cool. And if people want to stay on top of what you're doing, the best places to look on Instagram, just at Amos Heller. You're still on X, previously Twitter, but also on YouTube. If they just look up Amos Heller, they'll find your profile there.
I do have to correct me. It's Amos J. Heller on Instagram. Just so you know, I might have written that down wrong when I emailed you. But yeah, it's at Amos J. Heller on Instagram. And just search Amos Heller, especially Amos Heller Bass on YouTube. That's where I do most of. That's all my stuff.
Actually, you said it right, but I don't read my own writing well. So you.
I run into that all the time, man. Like, who wrote this? Crap, it was me.
There we go. So, Amos, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, and at least now you're relaxed to chat with us and tell us all of this great stuff. Looking very forward to future stuff, folks. You've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine, Amos Heller.
Bye, folks.